Okay, I think we'll make a start. So I'm Georgia, I'm publishing manager at the Emma Press, and welcome. 1 year ago, almost exactly, I think to the day, I was sitting in my first submissions meeting here at the Emma Press with Pema Monaghan, who was responsible for our calls for submissions at the time, and Emma Wright, our founder and director. And we were discussing the proposals from the September 2021 call for submissions. And there was a title that grabbed all three of us because it already felt like it was a book. And it was Kirstie Millar's The Strange Egg. So 1 year on, and I'm honoured tonight to be celebrating the publication of The Strange Egg with the author Kirstie and with the book's illustrator Hannah Mumby. We are going to run the event like this. Kirstie's going to share some readings and I think tell us a little bit about how The Strange Egg came to be. And then we'll hear from Hannah about what inspired her visual response. We're going to have plenty of time for questions. So anything that comes into your head that you'd like to hear more about, please just type them in the chat. And as we go along, and we'll pick them up in a bit of a conversation after. And I think it'll be quite natural. Kirstie and Hannah have a conversation together. So I'll just introduce you both very briefly, and then I'll hand over to you, Kirstie. Kirstie is a writer based in Manchester. In 2017, she founded AIC, an intersectional feminist press publishing writing and art on illness, health, bodies and pain. She completed her MA in creative writing at UEA and was a recipient of the Ink, Sweat and Tears Scholarship. Hannah is an illustrator, artist and creative facilitator based in the southwest of England. She comes from a background of working in arts and health and is currently a visiting fellow with the Global Systems Institute at the University of Exeter. And amongst various other things, she hosts the Arts and Health Southwest podcast. Hannah is also a practice-led researcher and is informed by a critical psychoanalytic perspective. And she recently completed an MA in illustration, which was research focused. So with that, I will hand over to you, Kirstie, and say thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Georgia. I just wanted to say quickly thanks to everyone. Thanks to Hannah and thanks to everyone at Emma Press. It's just been so lovely working with you all on this pamphlet. It's been wonderful, so thank you. Tonight, I think I'll just do a bit of a reading from the beginning and then a second chunk. The way I approached it was writing it in 28 sections to kind of mimic the menstrual cycle. So I'll start up with the menstrual phase. Day 1, bleeding. Picture this, white fawn, spotless and new, running and suddenly punctured by a particularly sharp branch. Mother's salty tongue licking the wound clean. 3 drops of crimson blood steaming in the snow. Blood is terribly revealing. Blood for the hunters to see and also smell. Picture this, the white fawn and its mother do not know the mistake they have made. Sadly, the hunter knows. Sadly, the sharp teeth always know. 2. The birth was painful, like all births. This agony sprouted from my side and raged and raged. Me on the bathroom floor. Me crawling, all hands and knees and whimpers. 3. Too much withering on the floor, too much churning, pain all guttural and hot. Me on your table, legs parted and trembling in your hooks, naked from the waist down. You, a blue-gloved hand inside of me, tugging at the birth, twisting the pain in your meaty fist, flecks of blood against the white of your coat. For your own good, you say. Okay, I say, okay. 4. After the birth. Doctor, I write this while bleeding in my little bed. I am sore, but I am feeling brighter today. I lean on my pillow and sip cups of tea with demerara sugar. Through the cracked window, I smell cold winter sun. Decades of dust cling to my yellowed curtains. I rent a small bedroom at the top of a large house on the edge of the city. The landlady is kind, but odd. The house is full of fur coats. These quiet animals with button eyes hang limply on hooks. To reach my bedroom, I must walk past the swaying animals, up and up a long and narrow stairwell, on which a bright red rug stretches out like a tongue. The landlady has many sons. They eat and fight and throw stones at cats and smoke cigarettes in the disheveled garden beneath my window. I do not like her sons. They do not like me. In the corner there is the birth, fully formed and realized, a glowing egg. The egg cries all night. I cannot bear its noiseless sobs. I rock the egg. I cover it with a blanket. I tell it a story. I threaten to smash it with a spoon. Nothing helps. Nothing stops its tortured cries. The landlady hears my anxious pacing feet and knocks on my door. What is the matter, dear? Knock, knock. What are you hiding? Knock, knock. I ignore her, and she leaves. Doctor, I am very exhausted, but I cannot sleep. The egg will not allow it. Perhaps you can give me something. 6. I'm overcome by a strange memory. Although I have tried to forget it, I cannot. So I leave the egg in a crate and walk and do not stop until I reach the woods. The white fawn is here, and I tell the fawn my memory. It is night and I am running. I am running wildly and purely. Each tree whooshes past my ear, and my body is compact and capable and strong. The trees and snow and sky smell delicious and promising, and I am happy. Then suddenly a ripping, a hot, damp heat splashes through my core. I feel pain with a sickening certainty. Agony, sharp and ancient, ruptures me. I stop my delightful running. Tending to my wound, I discover a gash has split me open. There is blood, pulsing and chaotic and everywhere. I look down at the snow. See, it is crimson, shimmering and horrible. The fawn watches me with intelligent eyes and slowly chews grass. I ask the fawn, what is it like to be hunted, to be harmed? 7. Doctor, I am still bleeding. Here are my new symptoms. Blood runs from me furiously. I pass clots, black as big as pennies. A blue star ebbs viciously in my left eye. Desperate to soothe myself, I climb in the bath and sigh as steaming water rises around me. The dull churning in my abdomen goes quiet. My bones throb, but more slowly. I peer over the bath's edge and see the strange egg, still lying in its little crate, still so white and smooth and so rotten. I cannot stand the egg. I cannot stand its silence. I cannot stand its sickening cries, or how it watches me. Night. I leave my house and walk purposely down the sleeping road. The egg, malicious and twisted and wrong. Me, clutching the egg in my arms. My legs slick. Droplets fall from my body and burn the snow. From beneath the grate, the sewer twinkles and moves rapidly, a quick pulse of the underworld. Me, on my knees, pulling back the grate, hands trembling around the shell, bone cold and ominous, and then suddenly gone. The egg appears like an opal, swept away by this foaming current, furious at this abandonment. And then I'll just skip forward a little bit and start reading section 19. 19. In the woods. Despite best intentions, the mother's tongue cannot undo nature's brutality. The fawn, injured and bleeding, little drips pant redly into snow. Despite the frost, I find meadow sweet. I drip honey onto the wound, sore and sadly festering. The mother watches peacefully, unhappy and desperate and mournful. The fawn does not cry out, does not protest, does not run in fear, but instead offers me great gentleness, nudges my hand with a twitching nose, grazes my cold fingers with antlers. Together we eat apples. I pull dried chamomile from my bag, encouraging the fawn to bite the yellow flowers. There's lots of chewing. The fawn and the mother abruptly sprint away. 20. Night. I dream of a large black dog, or is it white, or is it without colour? The dog, teeth sinking further into my secret flesh, lips licking, taunting laughter. No, not me. Yes, me. Well, a part of me. 21. A follow-up appointment. You prescribe me fresh air. You prescribe me a hobby. You prescribe more meat in my diet. Me. I am confined to my wretched bed. I am teeming with sickness and night sweat. I wake to find myself wounded, abdomen scraped at, strips of skin dangling lifeless from my red nails, frantic, bloody crescents. Doctor, do not dwell. Me, but how am I meant to live like this? Doctor, this pain is yours. Nothing can be done. You must bear it. Inside of me, the new egg, a bigger, stronger disease. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirstie. It's so brilliant to hear it read.
Thank you
so much. Thank you. I forgot to also say thank you for choosing to submit to the Emma Press with it. I'm just delighted that it's one of our books. Hannah, can I ask you to tell us a little bit about how you made it into this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to speak about it, but I'm just so struck by hearing it read aloud by Kirstie, because that's the first time I've heard it read aloud, and I feel like I'm like falling in love with the text all over again hearing that, because there's so much kind of power in it. It's such a sort of strange, mythical, dreamlike tale. And the place where I come from, what I'm really interested in when I make illustrations is the really specific language we use to talk about things like illness and our bodies. So that's what really kind of drew me into Kirstie's text. And I was so delighted to be asked to illustrate it, because there's so much sort of horror and rage in this book. And it's so visceral and brutal, some of the elements of what Kirstie has put into words. So I suppose I wanted to approach it by really diving into that. So I'm just going to show you a few images of some of the illustrations on the screen. Let me share my screen. Hang on a second. Just to sort of talk you through a little bit what decisions we made about the illustrations together and how I went about creating them. So the first thing that I remember talking to Kirstie about was the colour palette. And just because of the amount of blood and viscera in the book, it felt really important or appropriate to, embrace the power of red. So I think with the cover and with the text and with the illustrations, we stuck to a very limited colour palette of sort of bright glowing red and sort of dark pinky red, almost like a burgundy. And one of the other elements that I bring into my illustrations a lot is sort of marbled paper textures. And that seemed to work really well for this text because of all the sort of like bodily fluids and viscera that are sort of part of the imagery of the book that are so sort of chaotic and powerful and surreal. So I just want to show you some images, and maybe I'll speak a little bit about how I made them. Here, the first one is sort of like the quintessential egg in its sort of glowing opalescent form. And this one, I used the marbled paper. So I handmade some marbled paper, which is what I often do. I scan it and then I pick out little bits of the marble textures and I insert them into the illustrations. So that's what you can see on the sort of surface of the egg here. And then because there is so much kind of violence in the book, I thought it would be really interesting to have quite a lot of rough, scratchy marks in the illustrations. So this is why I've kind of left the burgundy around the edge quite rough, as if someone has sort of scraped it. And so you'll kind of see that in some of the other illustrations as well. But I just wanted to show you an image of what the marble paper looks like that I used to make like the cover design and some of the illustrations in the book. I'm not sure if this is the exact page that is used for the cover, but it starts out life looking quite different. And then I have a sort of fancy digital method of extracting the colours and replacing the colours so that it sort of fits in with the colour palette and becomes something a bit like this. So this is from one of my favourite passages. I'll show you it on my little thumbnail with the texts sat in the middle. I really wanted to do an illustration that was able to kind of bleed out to the edges of the page and just create this almost like ocean-like effect of the marble textures, which might be blood, might be something a little bit more abstract, might be sort of just this embodied sense of kind of overwhelming symptoms swirling. And then it picks up on the idea of let me see how Kirstie's put it. So a blue star ebbs viciously in my left eye. And this is the only bit of blue in the whole book, so I sort of broke the colour palette rule, but there seemed to be something really strange and dreamlike about that mention of the blue star, so I wanted to pick up on that. This illustration is probably the one that I enjoyed making the most. It was the most complicated in the book. This is from the passage Kirstie read about the dog. So I actually, in order to make this image of the dog, I scanned the marble paper and I worked with some of the patterns that were sort of pre-existing in the marble. And I wanted it to appear as though the dog had bitten into the flesh, and it was sort of like somehow part of the dog and also part of the creature that it had bitten, so that I had to sort of work the marble textures to fit the shape of the teeth and find a piece of paper that had the right sort of shapes on it. What's really interesting about working with marble paper is that it gives you shapes that you don't really have that much control over. They're quite organic and they're quite they're very swirly. There can be sort of funny little circles and patches that almost start to take the shape of the thing that you might want to draw. So it introduces an element into illustrations of something quite strange and organic, which felt really appropriate for the text. And this is the last illustration in the book, which is sort of like a long illustration that sits underneath the final text. And this is an example of something that Kirstie and I talked about, which was basically trying to include as many eggs as possible into as many of the illustrations as we could, because the egg is something that it's very persistent, and they keep coming and they keep showing up, and the text has quite a haunted quality about it. So this image, it's the end of the book, and there's a sort of uncertainty about this escape from the sort of hospital building through the forest, but what awaits is another egg. So there's this sort of suggestion of not really knowing quite how the egg will kind of continue to show itself. And you can see as well the marble textures here with the sort of path almost becoming like a fluid that's flowing out of the door or maybe out of the egg into the forest. So this is the cover, as you know, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the text that I created for the title font and the author name at the bottom. So I wanted to show you this. I have this amazing book called Alphabets Old and New, which is basically a collection of historical alphabets from ancient history. And I really wanted to find something that sort of spoke to almost like the folk sort of element of the story, sort of, because I feel like it is almost this almost like a dark fairy tale about illness. So I wanted to find sort of an old alphabet. This one is a woodcut alphabet from 1638. This is what I based the cover text on. And the reason why I chose this one particularly is because I thought that you can see some of the letters in the alphabet have almost like tubes in them. They have an opening in the middle. And I thought that made me think of fallopian tubes, and some of the shapes made me think of branches, which then also reference the forest. So I felt like some of those shapes in the letters were quite suggestive, and it just felt like a really good fit to sort of encompass some of that in a textual element for the cover. So I'll just stop sharing these images now. And yeah, I suppose that probably sums up my journey of illustrating the story. And I was really delighted to be invited by Kirstie, because I think when you can create really personal, dreamlike stories about illness or about our experiences of our bodies, those can be so powerful. And it's a really kind of big interest of mine to try and find ways of representing those subjects in inventive ways that help us understand those experiences differently. So yeah, I'm just really delighted to have worked on this with Kirstie. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Hannah. I just felt like we met through your podcast, I believe. That was how we originally met, and I came across your work. And I remember seeing your work and just thinking, oh, just amazing, and I'd love to collaborate with you in some way. And then when Emma Press said that I could think about an illustrator, I just knew immediately that you'd be the dream. So thank you.
Oh, that's so nice.
I think something I'm interested in your work is this, you mentioned the subconscious, and I wonder what about health and the sort of subconscious mind, what draws you to that as an illustrator, as a key theme?
It's a really interesting question. So I have a sort of interest in psychoanalysis as well. That's something that comes into my work often. And the main way I'm interested in psychoanalysis is because it's a way of paying attention to words we use to talk about our experience. And I think in my life, when I think about times when I've been ill, actually there's so much about it that's personal, that sort of that is really specific to my experience of my body and my life and the stories that I tell about myself. Mm-hmm. And so illness isn't necessarily just this thing that is a sort of organic thing that happens to you. It's sort of totally entangled with the way you understand yourself and your relationships and your place in the world. And so when I think about the subconscious or the unconscious in illustration, what I'm really interested in is reading very closely narratives, and particularly I enjoy when I can read something that somebody has spoken that's been transcribed, because when you're able to read into the words that people use about their experience, there's all these interesting metaphors that are unique to each of us. Mm-hmm. So in that, there's so much potential to find really interesting visual imagery, because we all, in our kind of way we talk about ourselves and our experiences, there are these sort of stock of phrases that are just completely saturated with the specificity of who we are. And I think that's really a really powerful place to start an image making practice from, because you can, when you work with words that are really specific to one person, you're making something that's like much more original than if it was just based on kind of a cliche or a concept that's already familiar to people. So that's sort of why I'm interested in some of those ideas.
I think that's really interesting, and I think writing poetry, I think our work is really compatible in that way with how thinking about words, and with illness in particular. I know, like with endometriosis, with my experience, doctors will ask you, how does it feel? You rate it on a pain scale, 0 to 10. But a lot of the time, speaking to other patients, it hurts. It doesn't hurt in the same way on any given day. It changes, and it can burn, it can ache, it can throb, it can stab, it can do all these things. And earlier when you're talking about the egg and then the sort of scratching kind of around the egg, that's interesting, because that really sort of like visually represents a specific type of pain that I can think of that I get, which is like this sort of like throbbing, hot, aching pain, if that's the egg, and then this like visceral scratching around it. It's just so bodily and horrible, but also like beautiful to see it, depicted in a different way.
That's really interesting, and I picked up on that. I think it was in the passage that you read where there was the word scrape or scraping. I was like, oh, that's so interesting, because that's come into the images as well. Yeah. Like, having written about it, do you find, or having produced this sort of like complete text about it, do you find that you now understand your experiences of your illness differently?
I think with this story, it's something that I could have only written kind of when I wrote it. I think if I tried to sit down and write it now, it would be a very different story, because I wrote it right after I had my 3rd surgery for endometriosis. So I was in bed a lot. I was on a lot of painkillers, and I was very like aware of my body, of my incisions and my healing. And I think that's probably why it's quite raw, and you said it's kind of scary or violent at times. And I think because as I was writing it, those memories of being cut open and having these things done to me were really fresh. And I think if I wrote it now, it would be from a different perspective. So it feels very immediate and vulnerable to look back on it. And even to look back on it, and I was reading it this week and was kind of like, oh my god, I wrote it. Okay. It's, I don't know, it's of a very sort of specific feeling I think it evokes.
Yeah, it's really powerful, isn't it, being able to translate something into writing or images, because it sort of goes some way to help it, well, it helps you put a really big, overwhelming experience somewhere. Like, it helps you digest it or somehow come to terms with what has happened, and then you put it into something and you can see it looking back at you. And I know what you mean when you come back to something that you've made when you're in the middle of feeling it. Then when you return to it a few months or years later, you can think, oh, wow, you know, you're transported again to the place where you were, where you felt it much more strongly.
Yeah, and it always comes as, I think it comes as a shock. You sort of forget that you made this thing, and then it kind of, like you say, looks back at you, and it becomes its own little monster.
Can I ask you both, before we open to everyone questions and answers, just listening to you both there, and thank you, Hannah, as well, for sharing those insights. It you know, added a whole new layer to my understanding of the text. Talking of putting words into an image, Kirstie, could you tell us a little bit about where the egg came from itself? Because now it seemed totally natural, but I'm like, actually, you know, someone who doesn't know the book, it maybe is not the most natural way of kind of conceiving of illness. So could you tell us a little bit about where the egg came from?
Yeah, sure. I think the egg for me has become an interesting symbol because as a cis woman having endometriosis, it's something that doctors really sort of centralize pregnancy, being pregnant. Are you going to be pregnant? Do you want to be pregnant? Is it going to stop you from becoming pregnant? It becomes central for doctors, and I think it was something that was really kind of forced onto me from a very young age when I was first diagnosed. So it kind of shaped my understanding of this condition as one of, you know, that would impact pregnancy or stop me from being pregnant, whatever, at a time when I wasn't thinking about pregnancy. So I think that was kind of the starting point, this idea of pain, of giving birth to this thing every month and then nothing coming out of it. That's just, it sort of became a symbol for the pain I was feeling, but also it became an interest because of with endometriosis, I was getting a lot of ovarian cysts. So I spent quite a lot of time having scans and seeing my ovaries on the screen and seeing these egg-shaped things. And I think it just became a symbol for all these kind of complicated feelings I had about pain. And I think also when I was recovering and I was in bed and I was writing it, my stomach was very swollen. I looked very pregnant, and I obviously wasn't, but it felt like I was carrying this big egg around with me. And I remember there was a painting, a print in my room of a Leonora Carrington painting, and there's this little figure in the bottom, and he's sort of crouching by this egg. And I remember just spent a lot of time looking at that egg and just thinking about how it kind of, something clicked with me, and I felt like that kind of allowed me to put into words these really complicated thoughts and feelings I was having. So I think for me, the egg, it isn't any one thing. It's you know, it's my illness, it's pain, it's my body, it's a swelling I've had, it's you know, it's all these different things. It's shame as well, something you have to carry around with you and tend to. So I think it's a lot of things.
Thank you. That's so interesting to hear where the kind of gem of the idea started, and it sounds like it's been something that's kind of always been there, that idea, before actually putting pen to paper. Mm-hmm. I will let you both briefly catch your breath, and I'll just read out a comment and a question at the end of it. So Laura said, I love this beautiful book. Thank you for sharing it this evening. I'm interested to know a bit about the choice of style and form. How did you settle on the mix of mythic, gothic and dreamlike, Kirstie? And how do you feel these styles and genres speak to the subject of menstruation and sickness? And I've also seen Kirstie's asked to put the name of the painting in the chat, so I will do that while you answer that question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think to start off with the form of it, I wrote this when I was doing my master's in poetry at UEA, so it was really great to have like 2 years to just kind of think about poetry and write poetry. But like I said, I was very sick at the time, and it was sort of punctured by having this surgery in the middle of my first and my second year, and I was part-time. So I was reading a lot of prose poetry, And I think I just like prose poetry. I like the simplicity of it, and I like the kind of open-endedness of it. I felt like writing a poem like this, I liked having this structure of, okay, I'm going to write it in 28 sections, and then having to tell a story around that structure while still having the freedom to kind of, if a section needed to be long, it can be, some of it's a page long, some of it's a line long. So I think prose poetry is really interesting in that way. I think also I was really inspired by fairy tales and the gothic, because I think for me it's a genre that women have been attracted to, because you can talk about, things that are shameful and things that are kind of difficult, and you can kind of sneak a lot of things in. If you think about like Mary Shelley writing Frankenstein, there's a lot of anxiety and shame in that book. So I think I'm just interested in these genres that allow you to do things like that. So I was very much like sort of nodding at writers who've done that sort of thing. And I also I like fairy tales. I felt like I was reading a lot of fairy tales at the time. I like I've always liked Little Red Riding Hood, and I think there's a bit of that in this, with this sort of like figure in the woods and this redness. And again, I just think it's an interesting vehicle to kind of explore things like shame and trauma and menstruation. And I think for me, growing up when I did, I think, I don't know, I hope now that young people who have endometriosis might have a better experience of being diagnosed. But I feel like for me, it took me 9 years to get diagnosed, and it was something that I was constantly told I was making it up, or I was, exaggerating it for attention, or all these different things. So it became, my understanding of my own period was something that was very painful and terrifying, but also very shameful. So I think I couldn't write about illness or pain without having shame be a sort of central kind of thing that impacts it and shape my understanding of it.
Thank you, Kirstie. We've got a few more questions in the chat. Sorry, I'm conscious I'm kind of talking and not being visible. So we've got a kind of question comment from Sue that I think you've partially answered. She says she has the same question as Laura, in that she's especially interested in the genre. Is it a prose poem? Which you've just explained. So she says it feels as if it's pushing or blurring boundaries in the same way as the illness it's exploring. It feels almost like a very poetic lyric essay and allegory. I really feel like you can't pin it down and put it on a particular shelf. So I would also like to ask a question related to what Sue's highlighting there. And has your approach to writing changed through illness, or how is that related? Have you explored different forms, and what you feel more comfortable writing in changed through time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I first started writing, you mentioned earlier how I started Ache in 2017, which was a magazine about illness and pain, and we published writing and art. And when I first started that, I started writing a lot of essays and kind of nonfiction, and I think I was really grateful to do that, and I think it's a really interesting genre. But as I've gotten a bit older, maybe gotten a bit more confident as a writer, I feel okay about things being less clear and not being so, maybe confessional is the word, and not having to kind of explain these complex feelings I have and come to a resolution or an answer. And I think, especially with illness, there is no resolution, especially with chronic illness. There's never an end point. It just keeps going, and it changes, and my relationship to it will change throughout my life, but it's always going to be there. So I think poetry for me, and especially prose poetry, and then also this genre of fairy tale or gothic, or kind of however you want to describe it, blurring those lines has allowed me to feel quite playful with something, with illness, and kind of really kind of get into it and explore these different, quite contradictory sometimes feelings I have about it. So I think it's always evolving.
Thank you. And Hannah, can I ask you, related to that? So with Kirstie saying, things being blurred and not easily definable and clear, or there being an explanation. Hannah, you said that your perhaps most like favorite drawing or thing to work on was the dog. Is there anything when you were reading the text that you thought, I don't want to represent this, or this isn't something that I want to illustrate? Or was there anything that you were immediately, you know, drawn towards aside from that? How did you kind of pick?
Yeah. That's an interesting question. I don't remember thinking that there was anything that I didn't want to. I wanted to illustrate everything, basically, was my problem. But one of the ones that I remember feeling a little bit nervous about, let me find it, was the image that I did of the doctor. And so you probably can't see it very well in here, but there's a doctor here with an ultrasound and a patient. And I felt like my illustration was too scary, because I found the description of the examination room and the doctor like really powerful and really scary, because of the idea of someone treating you in such an impersonal way and yet being so invasive, or having so much power. So in this illustration, the patient is very vulnerable and the doctor is very powerful, and the doctor's face is quite sort of scary, but at the same time slightly anonymous and almost a bit robotic. So I deliberately drew the doctor as being very sort of, it's got a lot of sort of angular sort of straight lines, whereas a lot of the rest of the book is quite sort of scratchy and kind of organic. And I felt a bit nervous about that image because I actually found it quite frightening. So I think if there was anything that I was probably more tentative about representing, it was that, because I mean, it's hard to say why that's more scary than, for example, the dog, but for some reason it feels scary because it's more real. I think it's less abstracted.
Yeah.
And I wondered whether that would be, you know, I don't know whether that would be sort of more triggering for someone who's had a bad experience with doctors or who doesn't trust doctors, but that was a sort of area where I felt like I needed to be a little bit more careful, but at the same time I kind of wanted to go to the scary place because that's how it's written in the book and it feels important. Yeah.
I remember we both kind of, when you sent me the first illustration, which it is similar to the one that's in the book, but I thought it was amazing, and I was like, yeah, make it scary, make it scarier. And then I showed my partner and he was like, oh my god, like he was really
I remember now.
Okay, let's tone it down a bit maybe.
Because the first iteration of this was that the doctor was directly looking over the patient. So we didn't have this separation of the two pages, and we didn't have the doctor looking at the ultrasound. He was just sort of like dominating over the patient who was lying back, and that felt quite sort of direct. And
had the ultrasound wand, which you did illustrate.
Oh yes, that's right. I've forgotten about that.
Yeah, which is very accurate, but I think you're right. It felt too confronting, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the right word for it. And it's sort of finding that balance between like sort of depicting something that is confronting because it's part of the story versus can you take it a few steps back so that the viewer is able to create that in their own mind without you having to sort of show it to them. So that's always the sort of decision, I think, when you're sort of trying to think about how directly to represent something.
Oh, it's so enthralling to hear all the, like I say, particularly as this so that I came back to in the finished product, that to hear all the intricacies behind how it came to be. We have another question from the audience from Chiara. She says, how did you come up with the title?
I struggled with the title at first. It was called lots of different things, and I had a really wonderful teacher at UEA called Sandy Poole, who's a fantastic Canadian poet. I really recommend her writing. It was going to be called something quite long and long-winded, and I think she was the one who helped me kind of stop, and I left it for a bit, and then I went back to it, and I think I just remember seeing the phrase strange egg in the story, but originally it was going to be called something about the fawn, but I kind of realised that the egg was the sort of central figure, actually, not the fawn, as much as I love the sweet little fawn. The egg was it kind of became clear after a bit of a break. It was sort of just standing out on the page.
I'm so glad you mentioned the fawn, because selfishly, that was also what I wanted to know. Like, what does the where did the fawn come from?
The fawn, I think, came from when I was younger. I grew up in upstate New York, and we had lots of deer. It was quite rural, and we had lots of these lovely deer living just kind of around the house. And when I first started getting my period, I was often up at night with really bad pains, and I'd just sort of sit in the living room and look out the window and like worry about going to school the next day. And I'd often see this little family of deer in the garden, and I remember just having this moment where I was like in agony, feeling horrible, but looking forward to seeing this deer kind of quite frequently, and this little family would like come through the garden. So I've always liked deer, and that felt like a really special kind of like blurring the boundaries. It's nighttime, I'm on my own, everyone's asleep. It felt very dreamlike. And I think that was interesting to me and was quite impactful. But also I like deer as an image. I like their flightiness and kind of how they run. And for me, my instinct is whenever I've had 4 surgeries now, whenever I get on this hospital bed, I just want to run. This panic kind of sets in. So I don't know, there was just something there about the deer, it felt very important to the story. It just kind of happened that way.
Oh, I'm so that was with our temporary director James before we were chatting to you before. We were both like, the fawn. So that's added a whole other layer to it. Hannah, have you got? So you've talked about a little bit about the things that you were drawn to drawing. Have you got a favourite bit when you read it that maybe isn't a drawing that you particularly mentioned yet, but is there any particular part of the text?
Yeah, I mean, I really loved hearing Kirstie read it earlier, and there's so many descriptions in it that are really lively, like the bit where the blood is burning the ground. I love the way Kirstie describes in a way that's sort of so, like, I can almost hear it crackling. Like, so I don't know if I can find like a bit that is like my favorite out of the rest of it, because it's, for me, it's all those really lively dream-like descriptions. Like, I feel like Kirstie has found so many different ways of talking about things like how a symptom feels or how pain feels, and a sort of sensation. Like, it feels like a really embodied book. So that's what I love the most about it. I think that it's like it really gets under my skin, especially when I can hear it in Kirstie's voice. But also just like I really like the sort of persistence of the egg. So I just love that it has its own sort of demanding character. So I like the bit early on when the egg sort of, where is it? Let me find it. Where the egg is sort of in the corner of the room. It's like, and you threaten to smash it with a spoon, or nothing stops its tortured cries. Like, I love how much sort of strange power the egg has throughout the book. So yeah, those are some of my favorite elements, I think, but I can't choose one above the
That
others.
was a really unfair question as well. Like, that's like my nightmare question. I just want to share another question as well from the chat. So Stephen says, I hope your book will also help raise education about this illness. Was that one of your aims?
Thank you. I think, I think for me, it's when I first started writing about my illness, like I said, when I started AIC, there was really nothing about endometriosis online. Even the NHS website just was very sort of like, it's painful periods, that's kind of it. So since then, I think it's become really much more well known. It's something that you'll see segments on the news and people talk about it. So I think even in the past, say, 5 years or so, it's become a lot more well known, and I think hopefully that is helping more people go to the doctor and identify what's going on with them, because I hadn't heard the word until a doctor finally said it to me after 9 years. So I think for me, raise awareness a bit, but I think that's kind of happening. For me, it's more wanting to feel like there's a way to express myself and maybe have others who have an illness or any kind of chronic illness discover a way that they can express themselves too that's creative. I think so much with illness and pain is, you think about it in this kind of rational way, and you go to the doctors and you have to, especially my experience as a woman has been one where I have to kind of prove I'm a rational creature and I understand my body and I'm not hysterical and I'm not inventing it and all these things. So there's this kind of demand to be rational and argue and debate and prove your point, as often with an older male doctor who's very posh and is very well educated. And as someone who's working class, I've always felt a real, power imbalance there. So I think I wanted to write a story like this because I kind of wanted to kind of just forget the rationality, forget this well-measured argument, and just write something that was emotional, like an emotional response to it. And I think, kind of touching on what Hannah was saying earlier, the idea of writing something that is scary is, I felt scared and angry, and I wanted to write something that was angry and that was violent because it felt like what had been done to me was violent. But I also know there's a fine line between not wanting to sort of scare people and fearmonger, because I think, there's so many taboos around gynecological health and things like birth control and things like that. So I think it is a fine line. And I just think my main goal was just writing an emotional response to something that was truthful to myself and having an avenue to kind of express these complex, painful feelings without wanting to kind of say, all doctors are terrible, because I've had some wonderful doctors, but it was just this raw response to a very complicated illness, I think. Sorry, it's a bit of a rambling answer.
No, not at all. And I think you said in a much better way. I think my personal reaction to it is it's such a wonderful example of writing that perhaps I think writing about illness is often seen as just, and I've just seen Sue's say that about me, I'm not rambling, totally articulate, that writing about illness is often kind of viewed from the lens of being something that's very possibly cathartic or healing for the writer. And I think this is a brilliant example of something that, regardless of the experience of the reader, is very compelling and inspiring for the reader. So I think you've balanced that line perfectly.
Thank you.
Do we have, I'm just thinking if we've got any more questions from the chat, because some are in the chat and some are in the Q&A. Let me just get, no, I think I've touched on that. So another question for me would be, what is next for you both? I guess I'll start with you, Kirstie. So are you working on any current projects that you can share a little bit about? What's happening next?
So with Ache, we've got some publications coming out this year. I'm working on an anthology called Sick Days, and it's going to be a collection of writing about work and illness. So that's going to be coming out later in 2023. And then personally, I'm working on a novel about endometriosis. So I'm just finishing that at the minute.
Well, in terms of what I'm up to, so I was really interested to hear Kirstie talk about shame earlier. So I've done a lot of work with academics trying to find ways of visualizing shame over the last year. So one of the most recent things that I was working on was working with a group of academics who are making some shame competence training for the police. So sort of trauma-informed training for the police on working with people and understanding how shame makes people behave. So I was making illustrations about what it feels like to experience shame for sort of training resources, which was really, really interesting. And I think I'm going to hopefully carry on that working relationship with those researchers. I've been working a lot with academics lately, and I've made a deck of cards that's based on the idea of an oracle deck, but it's called the co-production oracle, and it's basically a tool to help anyone who is collaborating to playfully examine their relationships and power dynamics. And it's like a set of 30 illustrated cards that I've sort of co-created with the University of Exeter. So I'm going to be that is sort of tentatively out in the world now, but I'm going to be properly talking about it and sharing my thoughts on those sorts of creative facilitation bits of work as well in the coming few months.
And the cards look amazing. Look really, really cool.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so excited to hear. Yeah, Laura's got the words from my mouth, but these projects will all sound so exciting. We'll be posting next week a blog that Kirstie has written, which will feature those links if you want to find out more of those. And you can find more. I'll put Hannah's website in the chat now, and Hannah, do send it to us and we'll tweet it on the Emma Press as well. So if anyone's here is following Emma Press, they can keep up to date with that. I think we'll not draw the celebration to a close, draw the launch to a close. I'd just like to say quickly before we finish and before I thank you both that we are having, if any of you are local to Birmingham, we are having our first in-person launch next week on Tuesday of The Strange Egg, and Kirstie is coming down to join us at Watershed Books in Digbeth. We've got all the details on our website and on our social media, and we'll be posting about it lots as well. So if you're local, do come in and join us. The registration link is on Watershed's website. We, as I mentioned at the beginning, we found this beautiful book through one of our calls for submissions. We'll be opening again for calls for submissions from the 7th to the 14th of February. If anyone's interested in submitting. And of course, most importantly, please buy the beautiful book if you haven't already. If you order direct from us, you get one of our lovely zines designed by Hannah Mumby. But you know, ask your library to stock it. Just buy this gorgeous product. So thank you so much, Kirstie and Hannah, for joining and sharing those insights, and thank you everyone for attending.
Yes, thank you everyone for your lovely questions as well, and for coming.
Yeah, and thank you, Georgia, for hosting us.
Yes, thank you.
An absolute honour. Thank you so much. It's always so brutal that I'm going to end it now, but thanks so much everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.